Are you guys able to listen to me through both Google Hangout and Zoom? Okay, very good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sounds good. I think we'll wait for a few more minutes and then we will get it going.
Do we have to use both the Google Hangout and Zoom, sir?
You guys can exit. Actually, whoever wants to use Zoom, please. So we have opened the Zoom for in case if there is additional people. So please log out of Zoom, and in case if you don't need, or if you just join through one of the tools, Zoom or Google Hangout.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Please stay on mute.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think I see a few people have joined us through Google Hangout. We'll give few minutes. Just want to address, give a quick brief about Fixnix. We are a regulatory technology company in business for almost 7.5 years now. So we help organizations automate processes like business continuity, disaster recovery, internal audit, risk management, a good bunch of these processes. Today we are going to talk about how people can set up their business continuity systems during coronavirus outbreak. So I think we will wait for more guys to come. Prasanna, maybe you can send out a reminder, and we will see. You can send out a reminder with both Google Hangout link as well as Zoom link, and I'll continue with the presentation. So what is business continuity? Let's try to get to know about this before we dive deep, right? So how we can automate business continuity. So business continuity management system basically is about, okay, let's assume, I think we used to be talking about this in a theoretical fashion, right? So how people can kind of plan for the business continuity if they are part of an organization. Today, I think we have a great example in front of us, which is coronavirus, right? So what exactly we need to be doing? So there is even there is a kind of a epidemic like coronavirus, or even a natural disaster like a tsunami, or even a man-made disaster like a political outbreak. So all of these things disrupts any business, ongoing business. So what exactly we need to do is just to plan alternative things. So how we are going to sustain the business and keep it going without any disruptions. So when 9/11 happened, I think none of those very important institutions which ran in the World Trade Center, which got disrupted. It exactly started running in the even in the September 12th. So the attack happened on 9/11. So people continued business on the next day also, the 12th of September. So that means that they had a robust planning, business continuity planning, which is supporting out of other geographies and other data centers, etc., which is what helped the people. So finally, people are able to automate these kind of things, process systems with the help of business continuity management systems. So business continuity and disaster recovery is a very core component in any information security angle. So for example, you may be able to have a great compliance management system. You may be also able to have a great audit system or risk system. But if you don't have a business continuity and disaster recovery system, I think we don't need any great example beyond a situation what we are seeing right now, right? I think across globe. I think from California, from towards to India, all of these different states and countries have already tried bringing to practice about how we can see there are rules called shelter in place, through which every citizens are being prevented from going outside for non-essential things, which can the essential things can be for taking any medical service or any other emergency service, so which cannot be work. So you must be operating out of home, So immaterial of whatever kind of profession you are. So the business continuity is put into test for in a greater shape now during this biggest epidemic of the world, right? So not only for this kind of epidemic, even there are smaller kind of situations which also can provoke a business continuity situation, right? Where we need to kick off the business continuity plan. What exactly is going to happen in case of a smaller disaster? In case of a smaller disaster, we may be kicking off the business continuity plan at a regional level or at a city level or at a kind of a state level or country level. For example, there is a tsunami in Chennai. Just the tsunami in Chennai may be impacting the Chennai city and maybe south of India or some other cities. The people who are operating, supporting the same business out of Mumbai may be able to continue, collaborate and help the business sustain, right? So in those cases, based on the business, the disaster situation, the business continuity plans can differ. So I think all of you must be aware there is a concept called tabletop exercise. Okay, let's talk about it more. So what exactly we do mean by tabletop exercise? So in tabletop exercise, so without even having that incident occur, so we create that incident and then do the testing. So for example, right now, yeah, I think people are able to hear. Yeah, people are able to hear, Tripti.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tripti, maybe. Oh, give me a minute. Okay. Are you able to hear? Are you able to hear now? Cool. I'll continue going. Is it okay now? Okay. So cool. Okay, sorry about this. I think we have some colleagues who also joined. So are you able to hear me from both Google Hangout as well as through Zoom? Hello? Zoom, you are not able to hear?
Yes, sir. I'm able to hear as well.
Okay. Zoom, are you able to hear? Guys, from Zoom, are you able to hear me? Hello? Okay. Okay. I think
Yes,
you
sir.
guys
Yes, sir.
can
Yes, sir.
exit
Yes,
Zoom
sir.
and you can join Google Hangout. I think we don't have lot many audience. Okay, cool. I'll get it going without much ado. We have some of visitors. So what I meant is right now we have this business continuity management system. So where what we are expecting is we are expecting organizations to keep track of things in case of disasters. For example, disasters like we have disasters like the tsunami, and we have disasters like multiple other disasters like for example things like political disasters or political disruptions. So all of these are some sort of disasters. We need to kick off our business continuity plan based on that. What exactly we need to be doing for that is not even worried about compliance management or audit or risk. So this is further beyond that, where we need to have a first identify what are the very important business units, and then after knowing the business units, then we need to do a business impact analysis exercise for all those units. And then after knowing the business units and the business impact analysis, what exactly we need to be doing is we need to identify the core processes which need to be keep running from the business units. So for example, the organization has in Chennai they have this very important group which is doing the engineering or support. So the engineering can go out of turn and can take a back seat, when comes like a disaster. But when it comes to a kind of a real situation like uh, support systems, the support team, they cannot go back off, right? They might have deployed applications and they cannot go off from the track. So we need to figure out a way so how the support team will continue to have access from home and connect to all the remote servers through VPNs and then continue support. So we need to clearly identify which business unit and which business team continue supposed to be operational, at least on a lean model. So once after identifying that, so that will certainly come out as an output out of the business impact analysis, out of the business units as well as business different teams. So after this business impact analysis, the real activity should be happening around the tabletop exercise. There should be a tabletop exercise which should be conducted. The tabletop exercise will help organization really recreate a situation which is not happening. For example, there is a tsunami happening, which we can predict or which we can make out as just a theoretical situation and make an assumption. And then we can say, in case of tsunami happens, okay, this is what is going to happen. In case of a real flood happens, this is what is going to happen. In case of flood happens, even there can be disruptions about electricity. There can be disruption about flood. In case of tsunami, it may not be a lot of this electricity disruption, right? The people who are living on the coastal side may be the ones who may get impacted. So when it comes to these kind of situations like corona, what are the other implications? We may continue to have electricity, we may continue to have some other things, things like internet, but we may have other issues for the employees to continue operate from home, right? At least the core set of employees. So whether we have the admin team who is managing that support are entirely based out of one city, or they are spread across multiple cities like tier 2 cities. So whether they all have some same level of internet connectivity, they have a dongle or home kind of broadband services through which they can be continue connecting to the remote VPN services. So there will be a lot of nitty-gritties we will be finding out as part of the tabletop exercise. So first identify the business units and then business teams, and then do the business impact analysis to identify the importance and priority and the severity of all the business processes running out of that particular business units and teams. And then finally, when we do the tabletop exercise, so which is nothing but a business continuity testing, so which will identify a lot of gaps. Okay, in case tsunami happens, this team should happen operate out of home. But right now, we have not even provisioned access for some of the support teams to continue connect to servers remotely. So we will find out a lot of things in the very nitty-gritty level, in a high level, 30,000 foot level testing itself in the tabletop exercise. That okay, the support team don't have access to connect to from home in case of disasters. We will identify all of those as gaps out of that business continuity testing, and then tabletop exercise. And then we will assign it to those business unit owners. They are supposed to be fixing those gaps, making those provision for those access in case of disaster occurs, how the teams will connect and then support. So out of the business continuity testing, the tabletop exercise, there will be a bunch of gaps identified against all of the business units, which will be assigned to the business unit owners, and then they will be fixing it. There will be a review which will happen post that, where the management will say, okay, there were 10 gaps identified, 9 gaps were fixed, 1 maybe, okay, this is the exemption, okay, we will work towards this. Maybe there are some additional infrastructure need to be brought. Assume all the support teams need to be provided dongle, so which is needing a management approval or finance approval. So that can be identified as one gap by the information security team and can be assigned, or the business continuity team, and can be assigned to the business unit owner, who's the support team's owner. And then the support team owner can say, okay, I can fix all the 9 other bugs, saying that by provisioning access to the servers. But this 10th bug, where the support team have dongle as part of their support systems, so which for which I need 10,000 rupees additional approval month on month, so that they can be provided dongle. So the support, the head of support will take management approval, and then he will close the bug, gap, whatever identified in the business continuity testing tabletop exercise, and then finally it will go through. So when an organization is doing a quarterly tabletop exercise or monthly tabletop exercise, it is nothing but the mock drills. all of us must be knowing about physical security, right? As part of physical security, all of us usually do the mock drills. In case of a fire happens in one building, we go to this common ground, and where we will be kind of some at least some representatives of every floor will take account of how many people working out of their floor, whether they all assembled at the common assembly point. And then once after that, every respective people, the representative point of contact of every floor is taking the stock of every people who have assembled. Then finally the building point of contact will do the summation, and then they will figure out, okay, there are people who are left out in the building who need to be safeguarded. So likewise, the physical security, how mock drill is happening, the tabletop exercise business continuity, in the business continuity aspect, is nothing but doing an overall exercise for the overall organization, not only from the IT perspective, even from the financial perspective, even from many other perspective, right? So for example, let us look at the leadership angle. The leadership angle, so assume one leader is getting infected by, let us take even the example of corona, right? So one leader who is infected by corona, assume he is not able to come out of isolation and continue support the business. So how the business is going to run? If the business is just dependent on one single leader, it is going to be a big trouble. So that's when we need to figure out, so how organizations can still have one person who can be we can do call it out as a succession planning. So where that person will be a support person who will be kind of acting along with the leader, who will who will be kind of taking in case taking position in case if the core point of contact, the leader, is becoming sick. So it's not only for the business unit aspect, not only from the IT aspect, not only from any other hardware aspect. So software aspect, information aspect, people aspect, all different categories of assets should be identified for their importance. Their business impact assessment should be done. And then there should be a business continuity testing, which is called tabletop exercise, should be carried out on a monthly capacity or a quarterly capacity based on the severity and the priority of the asset or the business unit for the organization's success. And then when we do this on a continuous fashion and then assign the gaps to the business units, finally when they keep fixing it, I think there is a greater success, greater possibility that organization may not face a lot of disruptions when it comes to a real disaster, right? So I think that's what the whole business continuity is about. So in fact, we kind of have a kind of couple of great products, which is called business continuity and disaster recovery as part of our core governance, risk and compliance platform. We have totally 12 products as part of our platform. So the point what we are trying to make is business continuity and disaster recovery are twins. So both go hand in hand. So when you are really planning for business continuity, so the disaster recovery also plays an important role. What exactly happens when the real disaster, business continuity is about kind of a prevention. So actually disaster recovery is about the real-time incident handling. So of that whatever prevention what we were planning, right? So once after the real incident happens, so how are we handling? Whom we are intimating? Kind of how we are calling all of those people for taking control of the situation and start operating in a remote manner and kind of hold the fort for the organization. So which is what happens through disaster recovery. So disaster recovery is also about putting up a process system when kind of identify the core stakeholders for the different business units, and then who need to be intimated first, who need to be intimated second, who need to be intimated third, and what mode they need to be intimated, and what exactly they will be doing, and how they will document the disaster, and how they will continue support, how they will do the war room process of the disaster, how they will continue kind of get the gaps, and then finally assign it to people is what happens in the disaster recovery. So finally, I think let me try to get into this folder. So where here we have a little more clarity. So something like in business continuity, we have things like first we need to have this, as I said before, we need to put this plans, okay, which is the top of the pyramid. which is called business continuity. First, we need to put the policies and strategies. Then we need to put this, address this risk management, or what is the risk appetite of the organization. Then we need to really put, okay, in the risk, first the business continuity and policy and strategy need to be done at an infrastructure layer. Then subsequently, the risk management, putting of the business continuity plan and validation and testing should be put on the management layer. Finally, the information technology recovery process, identifying the alternative side, data backup and offsite replication, server storage and network, all of this comes at the disaster recovery, as part of the disaster recovery. As I said before, both business continuity and disaster recovery go hand in hand. So this bunch of things which are in disaster recovery also goes as part of the business continuity, because they also play a fundamental role. So when you are putting your business continuity plan in place, you must be determining what is the alternative side. So how are you taking care of the data backup? How are you taking care of this offsite replication? Whether you, so first of all, you are operating a business out of Mumbai. So whether you have another offsite which is Chennai, which is completely geographically segregated, or you have a offsite in Philippines. So right now, but in case of a global epidemic like Corona, so how are we going to handle still? So you may be operating at multiple countries, but an epidemic of the size or magnitude of Corona, how are you going to still handle this? So you need to just plan for that angle as well. So, and kind of continue going. So in our platform, just to interject about our platform, so we have got this business continuity management audit. So once after the business units are identified, and then the gaps are documented, so the business impact analysis is done before that, and then gaps are identified through the business continuity tabletop exercise. So it helps organizations fix those gaps, and that's what the real governance system, right? So in fact, I would be very happy to set up a demo for any of you whoever want to kind of take a look at our business continuity system, where all of these things happens. So, but I will not recommend any organizations who don't have budget. So in case you have just a budget for Excel, so just continue do it. Only thing is set up a process towards this. First of all, you need to have some asset management system. So the asset management system will help you identify, form the business units what you have. Once after you have the business units and assets in a registry format, so then you do this business impact analysis. Then you do the business continuity testing even in an Excel format on a regular fashion, which can certainly help you improve your posture. And even if you are a small size organization of 100 people, 200 people, so how you are documenting this through the Excel and then further taking it ahead will help you a long way. And okay, so usually these are the things organizations are supposed to be doing. There is a real crisis management, and so how you are having your emergency response procedure. So you need to define this as a procedure as part of your other policy management system. So also you should be having a DR recovery. So how you can call out whether you have recovered completely from the situation. So when you are kind of in any disaster, you need to call out saying that, okay, this is the real disaster has happened. So you are trying to recover the technology systems or whatever systems. First, you identify the magnitude of the disaster, and then you start recovering systems from the backup site or offsite. And then once after everything is provisioned and everything is up and running, you figure out what are the things you lost in the interim by going offline, and then you kind of call out that now everything is back to normal, but you lost this so-and-so interim time keeping the system up and running, right? So ideally speaking, if you have a foolproof system, the moment when primary system goes down, the backup site or alternate site should kick in place. So which is what happens and in the disaster recovery aspect. So this is okay. These are set of questions. In fact, a lot of law firms are asking organizations to question themselves. So question all your assumptions in case of epidemic like corona, right? So first of all, your board of directors should be discussing this. What are the fiduciary duties with respect to this kind of epidemic? So how they should be planning their organization strategy and risk? How kind of whether they have planned for succession. So the succession planning is a very important thing with respect to business continuity. In case the leader of the organization, who is the CEO or managing director, have been impacted by this such kind of coronavirus kind of an epidemic, so how they will be continuing going? And even not only technology, not only leadership, even you look at angles like capital. So how well we are capitally well positioned to continue things, and so that the organization will be continue moving along without any disruptions, right? So and you kind of look at in case if the organizations are publicly listed, how are we going to continue work with the regulators with whom we do a lot of filings, right? We say that, okay, this is what is happening in the organization, financial level, revenue and booking, and a lot of this internal stakeholder management and the stock selling, a lot of these things, right? Employee stock options allocations. So you are a publicly listed organization. You are supposed to be kind of now it's high time for rethinking how you have made a lot of these assumptions, the way you do the reporting to your regulators. As a regulatory technology company, we are very keen to pass upon this. And okay, next category of important question what we need to ask is, as part of business continuity, we need to ask, how are we going to do our meetings? Okay, we would have had a lot of maybe 5 team meetings every day, and 2 meetings with our partner, and maybe some 10 client demos every day. So how are we going to continue handle all these client demos, partner meetings, even team meetings? How the team will get adopted to the virtual systems, and then they will get it going. Whether the team have all the logistical arrangements, it's a big nightmare in case the whole company is going for a work from home kind of a situation like corona now. So I think in the past many decades, more than 8 decades or 9 decades after 1912 outbreak, I think influenza outbreak. So the world have not seen any other biggest epidemic like this, where the I think in our recent past times we have never seen such a big epidemic, which is making the whole company work from home, right? Which is very kind of we are supposed to rethink all our assumptions based on that. In case if we have annual meetings with a lot of our clients, how are we going to conduct it? In case we have a lot of marketing events planned where we were supposed to showcase, how are we going to plan alternatives for that? And so in case if we are expecting a good amount of revenue booking by participating in different events and traveling outside, so if the organization, the whole organization is not able to travel outside, the sales teams are not able to travel outside, every damn teams are not able to travel outside, how are we going to really continue the business? The business is literally in a kind of a catch-22 situation. Kind of literally, that's the reason all the governments and regulators are now kind of trying to provide so much different things to people, kind of postponing their loan payments for businesses, so providing a lot of allowances, disaster allowances through their small business organizations, associations. So a lot of different things different governments are doing. And for example, with respect to employment law, so what are the things we should be looking at? For example, organizations should be looking at how they are going to protect the workers. So this is going to be certainly a very important business continuity aspect. So assume I am a startup. I have maybe 30 employees. I have core engineers who are 5 engineers. So I am going to be certainly worried for all the well-being of all the 30 people. But how I am going to protect some of my core workers, core engineers, the 5 engineers? So I need to take additional care for them to make sure they are kind of at least having some overlap with the other persons, so that in case even some of the 5 people who are becoming sick, so the other subordinates of them will take care. So assume the 5 people are very senior, they have with the system for a long time, they have built the product, etc. So how the other subordinates of them will take care and take over from them and continue support the clients and support systems, right? So, and also, how are we going to react with respect to when there are employees who are identified or tested positive for corona, right? So this is a very, very important question. So how are we going to support? Whether we are going to bring in our health insurance or organizational. So these are sometimes at an epidemic situation, even insurance agencies may not be really working all up to the mark, right? So how are we going to provide a temporary allowance to the employees so that they will come out of the situation, and then they will be a long contributing employee for the organization, right? So, and how are we going to collect information from the employees? Because there is a Healthcare Privacy Act, which is called HIPAA. So, in case of employees, can we talk to our employees, ask about whether they are sick, health by health wise, or different things about their health can be asked, whether it is allowed based on HIPAA compliance. So, first we need to think, right? And then telecommuting policy, how we can monitor the employees on the telecommuting, right? So how the employees are going to be contributing. So how many hurdles we can have per day. How are we going to have the remote collaboration going on in a better, efficient manner without disruption? And kind of the travel, and kind of in case employees are dependent certainly by their families, right? And they will have kids. So in case if they don't have their kids support systems like schools, so how they are going to kind of continue manage their work as well as kids. So there are a lot of things which need to be kind of thought through. So kind of whether organizations should take a quick call about downsizing their employees of the organization, and then whether they can provide notice and severe, whether they have bandwidth to provide severance. So a lot of things need to be thought through. Organizations need to ask all these questions to themselves, or at least the management, or at least the business continuity team. And then from the HR side, so in case if they have provided an offer letter, whether they should withdraw the offer letter, so whether they should postpone that employee joining, what exactly they should be doing. So how they are going to support that employee's relocation or even joining process. So all these things comes to the matter when it comes to employment law, right? And employee compensation. So this is another big thing. So when it comes to these kind of bigger epidemic like corona, so how, whether we are going to decrease the salaries for executive, or whether we are going to decrease the salary across the board. So how are we going to do this? So our employees are allowed to kind of take a leave without a salary. So it's like all this 15 days or 1 month of thing, whether employees should be assumed to take a leave without salary, something like that. Organizations who have different risk appetite and a financial liquidity position need to make decisions on different ways. And in case of equity awards, how they are going to take care of, in case of the annual bonus plans, whether they are going to cancel that or they are going to rework on that. And also things like stock options, and a lot of this even stock market. So when an organization is publicly listed, so when you are giving stock options to employees, so or the restricted stock options also, all of this are not going to be valuable. It is going to be less valuable because the stock market is dropped, right? So you are going to be assuming, so you are going to grant maybe $10,000 worth of stocks based on the current market situation or previous market situation for an employee who are on a $100,000 annual salary, right? So when the stock market is tanking, so that the stock has become $1,000 now. So that $100,000 employee, whether we are going to give $1,000 worth of stock, continue to keep them enticed, or how are we going to relook at the whole thing? Certainly, a lot of this compensation things related are need to be thought through, be it stock options, be it restricted stock units, be it salary, equity awards, executive compensation. So many things need to be thought through and kind of accommodated. This is very much part of business continuity. So methods and acquisition issues, right? So in the case of corona itself, now assume that we have some already signed up for a merger deal, or are we looking at buying out another company, acquire a company? So how are we going to kind of arrange for the capital which will we will pay out? Or okay, assume we were planning to give it as a stock for the newer entity which we are planning to acquire. So how well they will respect this stock what we are giving, because the stocks may be kind of literally now it might have suddenly hit some lows, right? So, and look at a lot of these financing considerations under the changing market conditions. So, a lot of these private company transactions. So, kind of there may be indemnity provisions, but still so how this valuation and a lot of other things comes the valuations need to be thought through differently when it comes to mergers and acquisition with respect to these kind of situations. So all these questions comes as part of business continuity. Business continuity team is the one who should provoke the team, rest of the teams to kind of think through all these aspects. So when it comes to any disasters, all the time, be it the information security team or the business continuity team, they should take charge. They should collaborate very strongly with the leadership and the board of directors and the collaborating for the organization's successful recoup, right? So let us talk about courts and regulatory agencies. If the organizations are publicly listed, so the ACC kind of regulators in Indian context, it's like RBI. So how RBI or even the SEBI kind of organization, right? Whether they are going to be continue operating, how are you going to submit our regular reports, quarterly reports, annual reports, multiple different things, right? So how are we going to continue keep up the organization's filing? So if you are belonging to a California state, Delaware state, or in the Indian context, if you are belonging to a particular state of Andhra Pradesh, state of Hyderabad, state of Chennai, state of Tamil Nadu, so how are we going to continue keep up our filing, be it GST taxation or other things? So how are we going to continue keep up a lot of these compliances? And when it comes to the disaster situation like corona epidemic, right? So and assume the organization has in litigation. So whether the courts are going to be open, so what are the filings we need to make to continue keep up the deadlines? And whether the current environment, whether the court will have hearings and trials, or it is going to postpone. So many things need to be thought through and explored. The legal team will be doing it, but still business continuity team, as like the information security team, usually will interact with all the business units, right? So likewise, here we need to kind of have the business continuity team should interact with the complete set of business units, be it HR team, be it legal team, be it board advisors, be it the executive leadership team, all the teams, even IT, all the teams should be working in tandem with the business continuity teams. In case if an organization don't have the bandwidth of a business continuity team, ideally at least it should be part of the information security leadership, where they should have at least one person, or the business continuity leader itself, sorry, the information security leader itself should play the business continuity role in addition and take care of the organization's planning and recoup. I think that's about it. I would be open to take some questions. I thought, okay, we will spend some time for questions. In case if you have any questions, please let me know. I can unmute you, and then we will be very glad to kind of take it. Yeah. Okay, this is kind of okay. Since we are a US company, we have given a lot of these examples from the US context. So ACC is nothing but a regulator like a SEBI. We have Securities Exchanges Board of India. So likewise, we have a SEC in US. The SEC in US expects organizations to submit a lot of these forms every quarter, every month. So that form 10K is one of the forms organizations should submit during their IPO, in case if they are going towards public. So they should be working along with the SEC, one of the regulator in US. So that's what it is, ma'am. Cool. So I think this is the very first time after a long break we are doing a webinar. So we will be looking forward to do more webinars in the days ahead. And please stay put. I think want all of you to stay strong in this corona epidemic. But as a information security product company, governance, risk and compliance platform, we believe it's a big opportunity for us to serve the humanity and the enterprises by helping them automate the right business processes with our one of the very affordable governance, risk and compliance platform. We just want to tell that we are the world's first software as a service governance, risk and compliance platform. We can just even start if an organization don't even have a budget, they can very well start with a just a $2,500 budget, so which is nothing but 1.8 lakhs. So we can just have 2 admin users and maybe 8 guest users with whom we can set up the business continuity process and disaster recovery process. So I think they should be able to just have some basic very lean system in place, which will cover their organizations a very important backbone, which is nothing but the business continuity process and disaster recovery process. So I think for a mid-market organization, we usually help them kind of from a $25,000 or $50,000 price point, where they can even have 500 or 1,000 users, where they can have a good amount of admin users and a good amount of business unit users and a good amount of guest users. So we can have 3 different categories of users. They can distribute the number of teams and the users amongst that. So with the investment of maybe even just 30 lakhs rupees, organizations can very well think through a great set of processes which they must be automating, like internal audit, risk management, audit, compliance, policy, assert, I think incident. All of these are other processes and products which organizations should be thinking through and putting systems in place. If an organization don't have budget, they can certainly think through an Excel model, but always the Excel model is prone for error, and that's where we come, and we are looking forward to see how we can help many of you guys. So I think if you are not able to speak, please text your question in the chat. We will be very happy to take it. Okay, cool. Thanks a lot. I'll give some time back to all of you. Have a great weekend. We will see you guys with another webinar next week. Bye.